So Vic, episode 13, number 13. Unlucky for some, or so the saying goes.
Like Friday the 13th.
I know. Ooh. It's that number, isn't it? And is it
Gives you the shivers.
Is it true that there's not actually a seat number 13, like on an aeroplane or something like that?
Oh, and also hotels sometimes don't have a room 13.
I know, and it's just weird, this like level of superstition and association with that number.
Yeah.
So obviously when we asked our existing listeners for feedback in terms of what they wanted from this series, they asked about how we've turned a bad situation good.
Yeah.
So
like real life stories.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I think we've both really got a good example of that. And
well, quite a few. We've both probably got quite a few.
And sometimes you do feel like the unluckiest person alive, but sometimes you also feel like the luckiest person alive. But I think it's important to unpick that because things don't just happen, do they? You don't just get lucky. There's often...
I think there can be situations where we can get lucky, but I think they usually fall about because we've put the hard work in. So they're almost like ancillary to what we're trying to do and trying to create. These things can happen by accident as well. Good stuff. Good, happy accidents.
So Vic, tell us about your comeback story for want of a better word. So, you know, what happened to you?
Which one?
Well, yeah.
I feel like Madonna, keep reinventing myself. In fact, my friends do sometimes say, like, I'm the reinvention queen. I think you're the same. We're just like, when things don't go to plan, we're like, right, fist on the table.
I do find
Gotta
myself
make it
doing
work.
that.
Yeah.
I do. And
we dig deep.
We dig deep. So come on.
Okay.
Tell us.
The COVID version.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't worry, I think we might have tissues, so if it gets messy and the tears come, we can sort that out.
I think we're okay. Well, okay, so the short version is basically, at that point, Touchpoints Marketing was running as an agency. So we had loads of different clients that I was doing done-for-you marketing for. And so we were probably 6 years in. And kind of within a week, 95, I can't remember what the statistic was, 98% of my business disappeared within a week. People were just ringing up going, we just, right now, our customers are changing and we need to just pull all the marketing because we don't know what to do. And I think, do you know what? Statistics come back to me about, I think it was I'm probably going to completely butcher this, but you'll get the gist of what I'm trying to say. It's something like in the Second World War, there was a company, and it might have been Cadbury's, and they decided to like double down on their marketing when everybody else was like stopping. And looking back at COVID, it's almost like that was such an opportunity. A lot of companies were moving from offline, needing to go online in order to service their clients and find more clients like as soon as possible, service-based and product-based. And, you know, you look back and think, for those companies that did double down in COVID, they're coming out smiling now because it's, you know, people. It's like when a brand builds and starts in a recession, they've had the hard times and they're coming back out. And then when the good times get rolling, it's all easy because the systems, the processes, the staff, their customers, the CRM, everything is in place. And so going back to the story you was asking before, so coming back to the question, and actually I found a article. This is from our local newspaper, and basically it says entrepreneur uses lockdown to help others. So in a nutshell, back in 2020, when I lost pretty much all my clients in a week, I created an online course. I used Member Vault. I became one of their I can't remember what the word was, like a creative partner, where I helped other people to get set up with online courses. And basically, I did this whole... let me take a step back. I had a little mini meltdown. I got off the phone from one client and I just thought, oh my God, I can't believe what's happening. Like my business is falling away in front of my eyes. And I had a good cry because I think sometimes you've got to like get them emotions out and be like, okay, I need to feel these feelings in order to process and move on. So after I had a good cry, I put my makeup on, I got some music on, I'm like dancing around the room, like, come on, Vic, you can do this.
Big girl pants.
Put your big girl pants on, Vic, come on. And I was like, right, so I'm going to create a plan. I'm going to make loads of content that's really helpful for businesses at this point, but also can be useful, not talking about COVID within the content, but it's going to be useful generically as well, when we think about that evergreen kind of content. And then I'm going to give it away. So at this point, I made a marketing MOT. So it's a bit like when you take your car for an annual MOT. It has a 22-point check. And what I did was I created a marketing, like some information that was supportive about marketing for each of those elements of that marketing MOT. So, for example, lesson 1 is the windscreen. Where's your vision? Where are you taking your business? Because if you're trying to get on a bus to go somewhere with a destination, you don't get on a bus that doesn't have like, I'm going to Nottingham or I'm going to London. You know where you're going. You don't get on a bus that's got no destination that you think, I'll just get on a bus today and just see where it goes. Might end up in who knows where. Landlord, no. So what I did was I did planning, creating and giving. And actually there's a YouTube video that we can put in the show notes that talks about a interview that I did with Fiona from RSVIP Networking. And I talk about, and there's even the pictures of me, like the crying picture with like the red eyes and the snotty nose and everything.
I've seen that picture. Yeah.
And then also post, like putting my big girl pants on, where I decided that this is the plan that we're going to do. And then it's kind of like a picture that's got half of me before and half of me after. So it's quite weird looking back at it. But so what I did was I would give all this content away, and I got in touch with the local councils, all the local papers and everybody. And there was nearly 400 businesses that went through and had support.
I was one of them.
Yay. Because that was early days when we met, really.
Yeah,
We'd only known each other about 6 months or something.
You might be going on to this, but I remember, so you directed me to that marketing MOT, and I remember at that point it was a pay what you can type system.
Yeah.
So you were saying you weren't necessarily giving it away for free, but what you were saying to businesses was pay me what you can afford.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time feeling like, I really want to pay her what this is worth. But I remember you saying to me, that's not the point.
It's not the point.
Is I want you to use this to remain present and grow your business beyond COVID.
Yeah.
And I think, that's really interesting. So you really did take the barriers away in terms of businesses being able to access that content. And I do think it was really smart of you as well. And I know you're a smart cookie to add in that pay what you can element. So it from a value perspective, I mean, I would, the stats, I don't, but I'd be very surprised if anyone paid zero, because...
Oh, I would say like 90% paid zero.
Really?
To me, that was the whole point. It was about being supportive, but it was also mindful that if people felt, well, Vic, I want to have an exchange and give back. And sometimes people, because obviously you pay or you don't pay at the beginning. So sometimes people would get through and they were like, sugar, I didn't realise that was going to be so good. And then they would send me things. So I'd get little gifts through the post as well. And that would
so nice.
Really G me up, because I think I'm really helping people and it's making a difference. And they're being able to sustain staff or being able to continue being present for their customers.
And most small business owners are small business owners because they want to help other people, aren't they? That is essentially, that is the fundamental reason why we do what we do, because we want to use what we know and do to help other people to get better. And that's the whole point of our podcast, isn't it? It's about scale up your sales and marketing. So
giving
it's
loads
amazing.
of free help and advice.
Really amazing.
But so let me turn the tables back on you then. So at what point was it COVID, or was there another point that you want to talk about where, things really fell apart and you've like picked back up the pieces and grown back better? Oh, sorry. But just to say, after all of that, what happened was my business grew and grew and grew because I was doing so much to help other people. So we got loads of PR, being able to make such a difference was putting my name in the room, in people's voices, because then they were talking about us when they weren't aware of us before.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it did make us grow.
Visibility.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, and actually, I'm really glad you said that, because before we moved on to for me to share I was going to ask you that, because it's all very well and good giving away all of that content, but what did it actually do for your business? So it's really
it catapulted
great.
us, really.
That's amazing. So my story is really similar, and you know this, and potentially that's why, you know, we've gravitated so much towards each other, because we do share very similar experience. So, you know, I was exactly the same as you, Vic. So my business was just coming up to 2 years old. I'd grafted really hard, or what I thought was really hard, to curate a really amazing pool of, you know, clients that I was really proud to champion. But they were all in a specific sector. So you know that predominantly I work with food and drink businesses. So the food and drink businesses that I was supporting, I was helping them expand their reach in the hospitality sector. And obviously we all know what happened to the hospitality sector. So I had a similar experience to you. Mine was much more rapid. So mine didn't take a week. I think I probably lost all of my clients in 48 hours. And I did also have a minor meltdown with my daughter in the car, actually. And I remember we were driving somewhere, and I remember just feeling a huge sense of, oh my God, what, you know, and I just pulled over and started crying. And she was like, what are you crying for? Like, nobody's died. But I know it sounds really dramatic.
No,
but it felt like my business had died. And I just needed a moment to just sort of, like you said, just have a cry.
You've got to get it out your system. And otherwise, you're trying to operate with all that inside you, and you need to just
And I think I want to just touch on something that possibly, you know, this is episode 13, and we are talking about luck. You know, and this is a lesson to everyone out there that's running a small business. It's really important to have good systems in place, because at that time, I wasn't set up properly as a small business. So my business is a limited company. So I'm a sole director of a limited company. Luck, if we want to talk about it, I wasn't eligible for a lot, you know, or any of the government support that was out there at the time, because of how my business was structured. And that was a massive lesson for me in terms of, I never want to be in that situation again. So getting the basics and the fundamentals and the foundations right is so important. So I did have all of my family saying, oh, you're so unlucky, you're so unlucky. And I just thought, I think like you as well, you know, a banging the fist on the table moment. No, I'm not going to be one of those unlucky people. So, okay, I didn't have any customers, you know, that had gone, wasn't getting any money. But you know what I did have, and I still have, and even more so now,
tenacity,
and also a great ability to navigate networks and actually get to the root of a problem. So you know that, you know, I'm a massive champion of independent food and drink, and I had you know, during those moments of crying, I had lots of messages from people saying, where can I go to get this? And who's open doing that? And at first...
was that a light bulb?
Yeah,
like,
because at first I thought, well, why don't you all just...
Google and find out.
Sorry, Dad, sod off. And go and ask Google. And then I thought, do you know what? Actually, I could be the Google. Anyway, fast forward. After I'd had a good cry, went home, thought I'm going to set up one of those Facebook groups, never done it before. So I set up a Facebook group, which was all about championing independent food and drink in my area and signposting members of my community to businesses that were still open. So the group originally was called Behind Closed Doors, because it was about shining a light on businesses that were operating during...
with doors closed now, and they're having to create online ordering systems and deliver.
And there was loads of them. A bit like you in terms of pivoting, you know, that buzzword. There was loads of businesses that were still doing great things. So I created this group, you know, shared, there was a hero document that showed which businesses were open, what they were doing, how you could get in contact with them.
I bet you were updating that daily.
Oh my, but it was my driver. It was my purpose.
Yeah.
It's what got me out of bed every morning.
I bet.
And when I started that group, I knew for a fact that it wasn't going to earn me a single penny. But actually I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this because I want to give back to my community, and I want to do what I can to preserve and grow my reputation for the long term. So exactly like you, I, during that time, and it was really weird, I was being nominated for awards, I was being recognised, all at a time when my business was still really in a bad place in terms of, revenue, but I was doing a lot because I had the end in mind.
Yeah.
So I've got a note here, one of my notes for this episode is, short-term pain for long-term gain.
Yeah.
And I just kept thinking, this will come good, this will come good. And I remember having one of those socially distanced chat conversations with my friends. Where I live, there's a big green in the middle of the estate, and we had, 4 of us sitting 2 meters apart, all drinking a glass of Prosecco, like having a chat. And I remember going, I've got no money. It's all good. And my friends were like, Pickles, you're playing the long game. And at that point, I just kept thinking, well, how long a game have I got to play? But anyway, this is the point in terms of, crafting your own luck, is that did come good. And actually, like you, I used that new platform to really leverage my business. And actually, when things did start to get moving again, I just thought, no, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to change things slightly. And the biggest lesson I learned was, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So now my business is crafted, my customers span different sectors and have different objectives and requirements, because if it all goes pear-shaped, I'm covered. So that's sort of my comeback story.
Wow.
And
I
think
so similar.
Yeah, and we're not alone.
No.
That story is not exclusive to us. That happened to so many small businesses. And many of them are probably listening now, nodding along, thinking that resonates with me so much. But I would just, the fact that we're still here and, we're going from strength to strength is definitely, a Cadbury's during the war moment. So, this episode was about keeping it real, sharing some stories about, when it doesn't go to plan, but how you actually use that to your advantage to come back stronger. So anything else that you feel you want to add?
Yeah, I thought about something on the way here about this episode and thinking about luck. And I think the thing is, you and I both have a very sunny disposition, which we're lucky to have. But when you think about like glass half full or glass half empty kind of people, I thought about a sentence that I don't think we're either. We're glass half flooded. I think we're like the water is flooding out. I know I've got an empty glass here in front of me, but the water is flowing out of these glasses. Like we are, for ourselves, for our own positivity for ourselves, but also we do so much to help other people, to help them feel really positive in their business. And I think that's just something to end on.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's just something that felt really like on the way here, really resonated with me, and thought I needed to get that glass half flooded out the way.
Oh, brilliant. Well, I'm pleased we're both still here, and I know we're going to go from strength to strength.
100%. Yay. High fives.